Hi everybody, welcome to the UEA Nursing podcast. My name's Joe Ellis Gage. I'm one of the lecturers on the Children and Young People's Nursing course. And today we have Darcey with us. So welcome, Darcey.
Hello.
Hi, could you give us a brief introduction? Who are you?
So I am Darcey. I am, as of October, going into my third year of adult nursing here at UEA.
Fantastic. So just right at the end of year two, done year two.
Just finished last week, and luckily I passed all my placements and passed all of my essays and exams, so I'm done.
Excellent.
Until my PDP placement.
Yeah, and by this time next year, you'll be a registered nurse and all done.
Yes.
Exciting.
Hopefully a registered community nurse. Going to manifest that.
Okay, cool. Going to go out to community as you start.
I hope so.
Brilliant. So what we've asked you to come and talk to us about is not particularly nursey, but a little bit maybe. It's settling into uni.
Yep.
So we have people who come onto this program. You know, we've got a couple of hundred people on a nursing degree who start each year. Some of them have moved from other areas. Some of them are local. Some of them live on campus. Some of them don't. And one of the biggest challenges, as well as getting to grips with nursing, is fitting into uni. And there's a lot of things that are stressful, a lot of things that worry people, and a lot of things that are really exciting and that people enjoy. So we want to find out about them from you.
Yep.
So I wonder if we could start by just tell us about your start at uni. Like, where did you live? What did you do?
So I did it a little bit weird, in my opinion. I didn't do it the same way as many other people did. So I started uni when I was 20 instead of 18. So I didn't do it straight out of school. I spent the pandemic working in a care home. I did a year working in a holiday park because I did random things. And then when I worked in the care home, one of the nurses I was working with basically, not peer pressured, but she said that I'd be good at nursing, so she made me apply. And then my partner at the time, I was living with, I didn't want to leave him, so I couldn't stay on campus because you can't stay with anyone that you're with on campus because they're single rooms.
Yeah.
You also can't have non-students living on campus. So I looked into non-campus student housing, which is an option throughout the city. There's a few that we share. You can stay if you're a student at the City College, NUA, UEA. They're open to any students. They are more expensive. They are quite a bit more expensive, but you pay for the room that you get more space, you get more amenities. I had a gym in my accommodation. I had 24-hour security and staff, vending machines, events, like socializing events. Not many people went to them, but they were there on offer. There was a laundrette on site. There's a lot of things that, like, there were pros to it. The only downside is, like, the transport into campus from the city isn't always reliable. The buses, sometimes I'd be an hour late to uni and I'd miss crucial lectures that I wanted to go to because the transport wasn't great.
Okay.
Obviously, if you stayed on campus, you're a walk away. It's a lot easier. And if you commute, the park and ride is very reliable, so it's a lot easier to get in that way. So yeah, I stayed in the city and then came into all my lectures. And so I did all my first year not really getting to know anyone here because a lot of people, obviously, they make their friends from their flatmates. So I was really thankful then when nursing during the welcome week, did some socializing events. We did a scavenger hunt where I met some of my friends. One of my friends is a mental health nurse. He's still a very dear friend of mine. He's one of the reps. He's also very present in our nursing community. So it was really good to know him because then I got to know more people and we sort of grew a whole friendship group that I still spend. I mean, I live with 2 or 3 of them. I spend all my time with them. So it was a lot, really nice. And when I joined, I went to Welcome Week and I took full liberation of that. I went to every event that was open to me. I went to every event telling me even things that I didn't think would be relevant. Like one of them was budget managing. There was loads of things that I went to all of them. So
made the most of all the opportunities. Why not?
Yeah.
So you went. So the odd option of living off campus. The expectation is everyone lives on campus, but that's not actually the case.
You don't have to.
And the other thing is also, as well as living in private accommodation off campus. An awful lot of people live locally with parents or family homes and travel in from there.
Yeah.
And so you said that was a little bit of an issue in getting to know people.
Yeah, especially because most of the people I lived with were postgrads.
Okay.
So I had my own studio apartment in this accommodation, so I didn't live with anyone else. But the people who were in my block, the ones that I did end up making friends with, were postgraduates, NUA students, or I had a few history students, like different schools than I was in. So it made it a little bit difficult to sort of to explain that the nursing workload
is different, isn't it?
It's a lot more demanding than maybe someone from NUA has, or maybe not to say that any other course is not as hard as nursing. It's hard in its own way, but it's more the amount of time I'm away from what
shift pressures, the amount of sessions you have to come in for, that sort of stuff.
It's a lot more than other people. A lot more directed learning, whereas we're very much taught learning. So it's just that was a hard situation to navigate, which was why I was thankful for making friends on the course. But yeah, it was really nice to actually meet people in my accommodation. And the thing I find, especially with UEA, is that people from around UEA, we don't want to go further than UEA. So I'm from 45 minutes down the road. I still moved in just because it was easier. But there's no I could have stayed at home and commuted in just as easy. And it would have probably been very nice. But I just wanted to feel that uni experience. Which I get is why most people live on campus. But
we get a lot of people who are local as such, but still move into accommodation or live on, and even if they don't do it in the first year, the second year, they then go and move out with friends. So that, we attract a lot of people in who are still local. I think that's just the way of it these days. And so a lot of people might be watching this video during Welcome Week, or even before Welcome Week. Welcome Week was useful then to you?
Yes. I did. So I met my nursing friends through, some of them through the scavenger hunt on Welcome Week.
Yeah.
I didn't really meet anyone in the main outer university situations, but there were fun things to do. So there's on my year, I don't know if they'll do it every year, but there was a little carnival thing that they set up, and there was free pizza, and there was a comedy show and a drag show, and there was loads of fun activities to go to, which even if I'm not socializing or making friends, it was just a little bit of a push to go outside and have fun.
Go and do something different, go and experience it and make the most of it. Yeah, okay. And going on, so moving on past Welcome Week and you kind of getting settled in, what are there other things that you could be involved in, or that you particularly get involved in terms of clubs or societies or other activities? So
in my first year, I was in, I want to say 5 different societies.
Okay.
So I was a member and still a member of a dance society. I was a member of British Sign Language Society.
Okay.
I had a radio show on the UEA radio. I did some of the lectures that Students for Global Health put on because I wanted to learn more and expand my learning in a different way.
Yeah.
And I also went to a music-based society because I'm quite a creative person. I went to a lot of creative societies. But then I also found that a lot of the societies we have also help you with your university learning. So I wanted to do a mix of the two. I did some that were more academic-based and then some that were more leisure-based.
Yeah. And so a lot of people will be thinking, how do you have time to do all that whilst you're doing your nursing course?
I didn't. So I think I quite overstepped what my breadth of what I could do was. By the end of first year, I was admittedly very burnt out. I did a lot more than I should have done. Some of them I could work around my schedule. Mm-hmm. But for example, when I did a radio show, I had to do it at the same time every week, which doesn't work around shift patterns of placement.
Yeah.
Lectures the timetable can be ever evolving. So it didn't really work for me. So I made the decision to step down from that. And I stepped down from going to the Students for Global Health lectures because I'd been to the ones that really interested me. And then the other the other societies I was in worked around my schedule.
Good.
They didn't have a obligation to go that the other two did. So once I managed to go, I need to step back a little bit through second year, I only went to 2 societies, and it made it a lot easier.
But that's still enough to keep yourself
I'm
interested
very
and
busy all the time. So
and you tried the other ones out and saw what worked and what didn't.
Yes.
And that's really important. So a lot of people, who start get so focused on the work side of things, and of course we'll repeatedly tell them how important the work side of things is. You can't just focus on that. The point of university is broader than just doing your degree.
I would my number one bit of advice to anyone who goes to university is join at least one society or club that interests you, because you'll find people who have the same interests as you, because people on your course may not. They may be different people than you. You might want the same career, but you could be completely different people. Whereas if you know that you are like a passionate netball fan and netball player, join the netball team, because they're going to be the people who really care about what you care about. And then that's a friendship group that, like, the friends I've made in my societies, they're friends for life. Like, I love them so much that I wouldn't change those experiences for anything.
I guess that makes sense, because there's an assumption that all the nursing students will all be best friends and that's it. But you wouldn't necessarily go and meet a random group of people and find out, oh, they're all postmen. They all get together because they're postmen. That wouldn't work. So you get friends with people who you're friends with for different reasons.
The nursing course is so varied. We have students that are 18. We have students that are 45.
Yeah.
Like, they may be friends, but they've got
Different
completely different life
experiences.
And there's people that come from different areas of the country that have different. We're a very vast range of different people. So to say that we would all make friends it's an ideal world, but you're probably not going to make all of your friends. You will make friends on your course, but you won't make all your friends on your course. You need a mixture. Branch out.
Yeah.
Also, it's nice to have friends outside of the course, because you don't want to talk about nursing all day.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have found living in a house of nurses is I spend a lot of my days just talking about nursing.
Yeah, a little bit of variety is probably quite beneficial, yeah. So thinking more about when you started the actual programme, what were the challenges of starting on the nursing studying? So in looking at actually on the academic things or the...
My main problem is I had no experience of a STEM sort of subject. Mm-hmm. So I did my A-levels in fashion, photography and media studies.
Okay.
So to go into a nursing course where I'm having to write essays and do exams on more biology, anatomy, physiology, I had no experience on how to write those bits of academia.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a clue on how to write notes on what was being said to me. I had the experience of the more placement side because I've worked in care my whole life, in and out. But the actual writing of things and the taking in of the knowledge was a struggle for me. It really was. And I had to sit down with my friends from now and then and be like, what are you writing? Because I don't know what we're doing. And it was good to have the peer support and be like, what am I doing? And then I could talk to like different lecturers. I had an amazing seminar lead in first year and in second year. Both of them really helped me. And I could just go up to them at the end of every seminar that I was struggling with an essay, struggling with a piece of work, and being like, am I on the right track?
Yeah, that's really important. Very good. And there's loads of support out there, but it's only there if we know you need it or if you ask for it. And you get a mixture. I'd say you get students like you who come in and got some of the practical experience, but you don't go out to placement for 6 months. You've got that core bit of theory. And you get other students who have no practical experience, but are naturally or through their history have done a lot more academic work. And you have to work out how that all fits together and how it works for you. And learning how to study is actually a skill in itself.
Yeah.
And we'll probably do another session on that where we've got some people coming in to talk about study skills and things like that we'll record separately.
I remember the first lecture that they said about referencing. I was like, what is referencing? I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah.
And then I found out there's different types. I was bamboozled. No clue what I was doing.
Yeah, and it's so simple. And we can be at fault of talking about something that we know about and assuming that other people know, even if we're giving guidance on it, you know a basis about it, but not necessarily. And I'm going to get the impression, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you didn't sit quietly when you didn't know something and you did ask.
Yeah, I make a joke quite often in my seminars, if I get overexcited, which I often do because I'm neurodivergent, and that's the sort of thing I do. I'm like, sorry, I'm being gobby again. I'll just sit here, and then my my seminar lead's like, no, I need you to speak, because if you're not getting it, someone else is probably not getting it.
Yeah.
And seminars don't work unless someone's talking, so it's useful. But I also found that if I didn't go and I tried to work things out on myself, like by myself, which I've tried to do a lot more this year, and I think it's been to my detriment.
Okay.
I've spoken to my PA about it, and I've tried to work through things and been like, oh, no, I've done this before, I can do I should have just asked, because no one's going to tell me off for asking. They're going to be like, why didn't you ask?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that, no such thing as a stupid question and all that, but it's kind of true. The people that ask questions are the people that get through the course. And the people that sit quietly and really hope that they're going to work it out at some point are the ones that struggle. So that's really important. And have you needed to go and have you used any of the other learning enhancement team or resources online or anything like that to help?
My favourite thing that UEA has is the fact that you can access the library database from at home, because you can just put in everything that you need, and that is the best thing that I've found, because I didn't know that existed for ages until I spoke to the librarian. He was like, you can just search all these things, and I was like using Google and putting in vague topics, and he was like, just put in what you need and it will give you what you need. And I was like, that's amazing. Why is no one? And I was like, oh, people probably have told me and I just didn't notice.
Well, you get a lot of information at the start.
Yes.
Like your first few weeks are
heavy.
Yeah. And so it's okay to say, I don't remember that, or I missed that. If you'll ask, and we told you that in week 1. We won't come back and do it. That we'll just tell you again, because there's an awful lot to take in those first few weeks, and we accept that you're going to forget stuff. And the library staff are really helpful. Like, actually, if you go in there and ask, they're sat there ready and helping.
I went in on Friday and I was like asking for the most random thing. I was like, do you have a book on medical anthropology? And they were like, yeah, I know exactly where that is. It's like, why do you know exactly where that is? But thank you. I would have no clue where to start.
Yeah.
So it's really good to have staff that are, if you ask them the most niche questions, they do know what they're on about. It's very nice.
It's like a challenge. They like it. They like trying to help you and find things out.
Third floor, let's go. Yeah,
absolutely. And looking back over your sort of settling in period over that, I suppose that whole first year, is there anything you would have changed? Anything you wish you'd known sooner? Anything that you did that you went, oh, actually, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish I did do that would help you settle in?
Let me think. I wish that
Just for anyone listening to the sound, there's a helicopter about 10 yards above our building right now. So if you
this is pros of the Edith Cavell building right next to the hospital.
There you go.
Cons of the Edith Cavell building right next to the hospital. I think that if I was to change anything about how I settled into first year, I think I would have spent more time on campus.
Okay.
Because but in the greater aspects of campus, I mean, I don't drink, but I spent a lot of time in the bar just because it was where everyone was and I could socialise. But I also then realised I didn't know where a lot of things were, which was very confusing when because in nursing, our lectures are all over the campus. It's not like we're not just set in this building, we're not just set in Queens. We do move around because we're huge and we need to fit places. And I was like, where is this lecture? I don't know where I'm going. I wish I'd just spent more time to walk around. And also there's loads of walks around UEA that I wish I did, because it's quite nice to walk around. And also I hate hills and UEA is flat, so I should take the advantage of doing my exercise on a place that's less strenuous.
And that's one of the benefits of UEA is it's got a big campus. It's quite a nice place to walk around.
There's rabbits everywhere.
Rabbits,
and I have pet rabbits. I love rabbits.
So you need to walk around a bit more. And,
exactly.
And actually, it's remarkable how few sometimes students you see walking around campus at certain areas. They're all condensed into one bit.
It's everyone's going up and down Chancellor's Drive and no one's walked past Sainsbury's Centre or the lake in ages.
Yeah. And sometimes just spending that time, you'll have gaps between lectures and you've got an hour and you're like, what shall I do? Go and explore in those first few weeks and have a wander and find stuff.
Find all the cafes, because you go into campus kitchen and it is full, and then you'll go down to cafe, I think it's called Cafe 33 or something. It's in Julian Study Centre.
Oh yeah.
And it is really good, and it's usually got the shortest line.
Yeah, and there's
bit of information.
The secret cafe, but in the bio building next to Queen's.
Sainsbury Centre, Bob Champion. There's cafes all over, but then the ones that are in the centre of campus get really full, and some of the others have better food.
Ah, okay.
If you want to be healthy, the salads and the sandwiches, they're on the further side of campus.
So you've got to go and hunt out the good food.
You've got to go hunt out the good food. There is also Ziggy's, which I think has some of this stuff, but to be honest, I've never been in Ziggy's, so I don't know.
Oh, there you go. But then you can still explore in your third year.
I've been in once, but I went in for a brownie, so I probably shouldn't be preaching where the healthy food is. When the only time I've been in, I was like, I just want a brownie.
We can promote brownies as well. That's all right. So we've kind of already talked about quite a lot. We've kind of talked about your living accommodation and the pros and cons of living off site as you did, the knock-on effect of that for settling in. One of the things I was thinking about is there anything before you'd started that you wish you'd done? So often at interviews, and I'll say, have you got any questions? And some students might say to me, what can I do to prepare? And often I think about that in a very academic sense of the word. But actually, what would have helped you prepare beforehand? Would it have been academic work? Would there have been anything else? Are you better off coming in with no prep at all?
This is like the most ridiculous thing. But I wish I got an iPad or a laptop earlier, because I was working on the most beaten up, tiny 200-pound laptop, and my notes just froze all the time. I couldn't write down things.
Yeah.
So I was not getting notes on things that I needed to remember for the future, which was one thing that I wish I just bought the iPad earlier, because I knew I was going to at some point. I wish I got it earlier. And the other thing I wish I did to prepare is I kind of wish that I spoke to lecturers more in the beginning. I would sit, I mean, this is definitely not me now, but in the very beginning, I'd sit at the back of my seminars because I was nervous because I didn't have many friends yet. I'm a quite big personality and I was scared people wouldn't like me. So I'd sit at the back. So I wasn't engaging enough. And now, I mean, most lecturers know me as I'm sitting in the front and I'm being loud now, which is more me, and it makes me much more comfortable. And then I get to actually know what's going on because I talk to the lecturers more, whereas I spent the first 3 months not really knowing what was going on. And I wish that I just prepared by taking in the first two weeks, but also maybe sending a few emails before I went, being like, what sort of things do you want me to, what do you want me to look at? Because I'll be honest, I didn't understand Blackboard. I was looking at it going, I know they've sent me work, they've told me what I need to do, but I don't know what this says. So I wish I just emailed someone and went, can you put this in a bullet points? What do I need to do?
Yeah, and from our point of view, if we're getting those emails or someone coming up to us, it's not going to be one person that needs that information. It's going to be loads of you. So that's really useful. And you get out of this course what you put into it. You do need to be quite controlled and do a lot of independent studying and working on directed stuff, but you also need to engage in those sessions. And if, like you said earlier on, you said if no one's talking in a seminar, it doesn't work. You do need that. And some of people will be more nervous than others to talk. But that interactive learning is where you kind of benefit, I think, most. Probably more so than the lecture theatres where you're sat listening to someone. That talking in the seminars, I think, is really important. And often students say they don't even start doing that until they're well into the second year or even the third year, that they get the confidence to do it, and then they suddenly fly. So that's a really good tip. I like that. I think we've kind of ticked off everything on my list that I wanted to ask you about, what we wanted to chat about. And there'll be loads of other things that students might want to find out about settling in, or other things that might come up. So we might touch on those in other sessions, or come back and we might even get people to send in some questions and find out what they want to know. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with new students that you think might be useful or beneficial to them before we finish?
Kind of. The only thing that I just feel so passionately and I really want to just tell people is explore Norwich. When you are here in the very beginning weeks or throughout your first year, when you have slightly more time than you do in second and third year, it's busy, but you have slightly more time. Norwich is beautiful. It's an amazing city and there's amazing things going on every week. There are shows that done by brilliant musicians, brilliant drag artists, cabaret stars, theatre shows. There's things to do in Norwich every week. Go outside and don't just go to the club nights every week. They're boring. Just go and experience some culture and go around Norwich. It's amazing. I love Norwich.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
good.
the best. If you're going to come here, have a look at the city.
I think I heard that Norwich, UEA and Norwich itself has the highest number of people who come to university but then
and
don't
stay.
leave. Yeah.
I think Norfolk has something like a 75% retention rate of people born here don't leave.
Yeah.
And when you really go around and you look about Norwich, you can sort of see why. There's beautiful architecture, there's amazing shops, Norwich Lanes, both cathedrals. There's always things to do, and it's just a fun place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as it is hard work, this course, there is time to go and do those things. And if you're exhausted and feeling like, oh, work's getting on top of you, going out and doing something like that is more beneficial than staying in your flat and feeling tired and exhausted.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's definitely time to explore.
And take a barrel bike to a lecture one time instead of the bus, because the bus is not reliable and the barrel bikes are always there.
Okay, that's good
my
advice
other
too.
advice.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us. Hopefully this has been useful for anyone that's watching. If you have found it useful, please share it with other people, hit the like button, add in comments. And if you've still got questions, still got things that are worrying you about settling into uni, then comment on this video or contact me directly and we'll try and do something else to address those as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.